What's up, buddy?
What's up? How are you?
Good, man.
All right. You're a co-host.
Sweet. Chrissy's not really here.
Well, no, but you can see.
Yeah, I'll just put it on. Yeah, I'll put it on gallery view.
Perfect. I'm going to do this. Let's just roll through this, me and you, real quick. I want to make sure that this works.
How many total people? 30 something?
36.
So you got two screens of them.
Yeah. Boom, 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 boom. Moment of truth. Hear it?
Here, I don't see it.
Most sought after.
You what?
I don't see it, but I hear it.
Why?
I don't. Did you embed it? You might have to just play it like from your desktop.
Huh. Intro. Can you see that?
There you go. Yep.
All right. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go stop share. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go here. Share. And then I'll get out of that and I'll go right to that.
Yeah, play it for a minute. I want to see something.
Okay. Wonder how you can switch from sharing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Todd is one of the most sought-after mindset performance coaches on the market. He's a results-oriented visionary, business and individual development.
What's that?
I would let it play out for a minute because it's stuttering.
leader who fostered the framework around achieving the 3 skills of the elite. Todd has a proven ability to inspire people, sports teams, corporate executives, and their organizations. This former professional basketball player and 3-time Hall of Famer uses cutting-edge strategies to help you achieve his 3 skills of the elite required to succeed at the highest level in your respective career or sport. As the Vice President of Sales for a leading medical device company, Todd Cetnar has mentored hundreds of individuals and teams on how to obtain his 3 elite pillars that encompass an elite mindset, elite communication skills, and elite purpose. By mastering these 3 skills of the elite, you'll start achieving your full potential and get the results you've been missing. Todd has worked with clients in a plethora of career spaces, including, but not limited to, the medical device industry, wealth management and finance companies, the New York State Public High School Athletic Association, along with many prestigious colleges and universities. Please welcome your guest, Todd Cetnar.
Todd Cetnar.
Yeah, perfect.
All right.
I wonder how to get out. Oh, there you go. Okay, cool.
Share screen. Watch movie. Go here. Perfect. Yeah, man. All right, we're good to go. I think I just have to stop, go back there, share that.
Okay.
You can take over right after that. You good?
Yeah, let me see. So no one signed on yet, right?
No, I have everybody in the waiting room.
Can I don't think I can share. Hold on. Hold on a second. I gotta, what the fuck? Hold on. I don't see. You gave me privileges, right, to share my own screen?
Yep, your co-host.
So hold on, let me just try this now, okay?
Yep.
What
Got
do you
it.
see?
I see the slides, but I also see on the bottom, I see your no.
Okay, hold on.
Yep.
How about now? Full.
Now I get full.
Perfect.
Yep.
Perfect. All right, you can take it back.
You got to give it, view options.
Oh, I got it. Okay.
I got it. What's up? What are you doing? Are you going to help me?
Yeah.
Let's hope not.
Hi.
All right. You got to go upstairs. Okay? Love you. Four classes left after tonight.
Wow.
I know. I'm going to take this right up until 6:30.
I love it. It's a power move. I
Oh,
did
yeah.
this. I did this with Adam the other day. They all went down to the Cape to see Adam.
How's he doing?
Oh, dude. He looks like, I mean, not even, just so skinny.
Ugh.
He's got less than 2 to go.
Is that what he says?
That's what they told him. It's pretty brutal.
So you saw him?
I was here because I couldn't make it out there, but like Rich went down, Eric Johnson went down, Dave Miller went down, and then they webcam the rest of us in.
Ugh.
Yeah, it's brutal.
He'd been battling for so long.
Yeah, we thought he was out of it, but
Are you is your girl videotaping this?
no, but right over here, if you, I'll tell the class too, so they know what's going on. I'm gonna see them over here. There's a computer right behind, kind of right to the right of me. But I'm gonna look at my slides here. But I want to just, because it's interactive, and I want to see I need to see the green box to see who's talking.
Got
Or
it.
how do you have them raise their hand? You have them hit the raise, or?
I actually just call on them. You know, my goal in all this is to try to have everybody speak one time.
No, that ain't gonna happen. But
No, but that's,
for you, it's different. You got them for 3 hours.
I know.
Yeah.
But that's the goal. Otherwise, I have them raise their hand, and you know, the first class it was all new, so I was trying to figure out, you know, how to work everything, and I'm still not 100%.
Right.
You know. Make sure you reach out to that Joe Moran.
I will. Yeah, he's jumping on.
He should be. He's a great guy. He knows a lot of people. Not a lot of people in sales.
Does he do what I do or no?
He does not what you do in the medical device space, but he uses like LinkedIn to grow his business. He just has so many connections.
Right.
He's a good guy to know.
Where's he live?
In Newton. All right, I'm going to admit these folks.
Love Saratoga.
Okay.
Cool. Yeah.
Hey guys, how we doing? Doing good? Awesome. Zach, again, you beat everybody to the punch. You were the first one there. All right, give me a couple more minutes. We'll wait for some other folks. Can somebody answer something? When you guys logged in, did it put you automatically right into this waiting room?
Yes.
Yeah.
It does?
Yeah.
So when you click the link, it doesn't automatically put you into this view. It automatically puts you into some other room.
Yeah.
Okay, good to know. And do I have to admit everybody? I think I do.
Your class is the only class that's how it is though. Every other class puts us straight. At
Yeah.
least that I have put us straight.
I think I when I set this up, because it was recurring, I remember them telling me something. I actually just switched it. So hopefully going forward, you guys can you just log in and you should be able to, again, working with technology I've never worked with before in my life. So we're getting there. Hey, Grace, how are you?
I'm good.
Good. Good to see you.
You too.
Mancuso. There we go. Mr. Mancuso, how are you? All right, we're getting there. All right, we got I think we got mostly everybody in here now, so I'm going to start. If you guys aren't on mute, please go on mute. Andrew's going to be a little bit late, so let's do the fact that's host only. And as we get,
Professor,
yes,
Katie just texted me and she said that the link isn't working for her to get on.
all right.
She needs to not click the long link. She needs to click the short link.
Okay, hold on.
Like I clicked the long link and it doesn't work. And you have to click like where it says click here to join.
Yeah, otherwise I don't know what to do. I'm kind of at a loss.
Like she needs to go into her email. It's not the link on Blackboard. The link on Blackboard doesn't work. She like had to sign up for it and it came into her like her email.
All
I
right.
don't know if that.
I don't know. Does the link on Blackboard, that takes you to what? It doesn't take you to the class. It just takes you to what?
Take you to a waiting room and then it says like join or register or something. And I don't know.
I
Yeah,
fixed-
you have to,
That's what I fixed tonight. So you guys shouldn't have to register. It should be able to just click it and it comes right to this thing, but we'll figure it out. It seems like 35 other people are on, so we'll get her on there. Just send her the link. If you guys have that link, if you could load it over to her, and then we can get her involved. So how was the week? How did you guys deal with your second week in quarantine? Everybody doing well? Everybody going stir crazy at this point?
I started a business,
Who's that?
Simone,
What business?
selling hand sanitizers.
Good. That's a very smart business.
There you
Very,
go.
very nice.
Capitalizing on the circumstances.
Well, send me a link because I'm all out and I have 3 kids that are have runny noses, so I could use some of that. That'd be perfect.
But I am in Jamaica, so that might be difficult. But
That's what part of Jamaica?
Kingston.
Beautiful. Great spot. Great spot. Everybody else doing well? Everybody else, other classes going well? Yeah? Good. Good. So a couple of things to get right into it tonight. First of all, I want to thank everybody for your participation last week. I know that there was a lot thrown at you guys from a, why is that coming up like that? Todd, you got to stop sharing your screen.
Yeah, I'm not sharing. That was your slide, I think, right?
See. Got it.
Cool.
All right, can everybody see this? Give me a show. Yeah, everybody good? Okay, good. Alex is in. So recap, last week, navigated through our first Zoom remote learning class, which was pretty interesting in and of itself. Alex is still at the beach, as we can see in this, so it was very interesting. I thought the discussion was really lively. You know, we tried to keep it on the toes. I'm glad that Aaron and Gary were able to talk a little bit about things that are important in sales. I hope you guys got a sense of what prospecting looks like from a more of a 30,000 foot view, what segmentation looks like, different ways to approach the customer using both prospecting and segmentation, and also got into a good discussion based around adaptive selling. So I'll stop right here real quick. Somebody out there, give me a good definition about what prospecting is to them. Not to the book, but what does prospecting mean to you guys in sales? Tara.
Prospecting is trying to find potential clients to sell to.
Okay. What kind of clients? Any clients?
Usually repeating clients,
All right.
like a relationship kind of thing. Like you know what I'm trying to say? I'm at a loss for the word right now.
Yeah. Stathis.
Looking at like a pool of customers and deciding amongst that pool, which of those customers should I go after for my specific product?
Yep. And Zach.
customers that work for you as well. Like you have to determine who's going to fit your style as well. Because if you go in with someone who you're just, they're not looking for what you're trying to give them, or their relationship style it just isn't going to work out.
Right.
You have to kind of qualify that.
Right. Remember, prospecting is an opportunity as salespeople, right? This is where you guys can kind of roll up your sleeves and figure out, all right, who are the people I want to call on, and what cadence do I want to call on these people, and should I extend my net, cast that net wide, or do I use segmentation in order to siphon down who I'm going to call on? So who wants to give me a good definition for segmentation? What did that presentation teach you guys about sales, about who to call on, how to call on them?
Well, segmentation is like the process of grouping similar like prospects or customers to basically have different sales plans or ways that you're going to get to the customer. And he related it to like golfing, when you have like a golf bag,
Yeah.
and you have different clubs to hit different balls and different lengths and stuff.
Yeah. I mean, and that's a perfect analogy. Honestly, I had never heard that analogy before, but when Aaron said that, it kind of resonated with me in the sense of you need to know what club you're going to use and what distance that club is going to take you, right? Same thing with segmentation. So if you think about prospecting, you think about what customers you're going to see. When you think about segmentation, it really siphons down, all right, these are the appropriate customers and these are where the buckets fall into. And I can tell you guys from my perspective, we use this all the time in sales, all the time. You have, I think what he determined, different monikers for some of these folks, right? Different names for each one of these, for each one of their, bread and butters, the old flames, the fast risers. So use these. If you guys get into a sales situation and you guys are in, this is a great way, a great tool to have a good discussion with your customers based around segmentation. What are some of the different ways that we talked about approaching the customer? Anybody have anything that resonated with them last week about how to approach a customer, utilizing adaptive selling? Anything come out from that perspective? Colby, talk to me.
Do you mind repeating the question? Sorry.
Yeah, think about adaptive selling. Think about approaching the customer. We talked last week about utilizing prospecting, utilizing segmentation. What were some things that stood out to you as far as the discussion points on adaptive selling and approaching the customer?
I'm having a hard time thinking about like what specifically to like was around like adaptive selling. I don't know, like I guess like asking a lot of questions, things like that.
Well, think about your individual role plays. Think about things that you guys have done. What's your definition of adaptive selling?
Being able to like change your way that you're selling to someone based on the type of customer that you're selling to.
All right. Everybody agree with that? Stathis, you said somewhat, yeah? You have a different?
No, I agree. It's just like how everyone has their own definition. So like, yeah, you adapt to what's going on in the sales. All right, he's not in a good mood today, so maybe I won't be going with my like fluffy speech. I'll be more straight to the point, right. Stuff like that, on your toes.
Right. And I think that, part of what the article was that I sent you guys to look over tonight talks exactly about that. Think about prospecting and adaptive selling in this environment, right? Virtually. How do you do that? What's that look like? And we'll go over that a little bit in detail tonight. But adaptive selling, a lot of these terms, Stathis is right. It's basically analogous. Right? Adaptive selling is different than style flexing, because style flexing, you're matching somebody's style. Adaptive selling is you're adapting to the environment. You're adapting to the person. You're adapting to competition, all these other mitigating factors, right? So that's the difference between adaptive selling and it's kind of the things that came out of the discussion last week. So in review, these are the things that we talked about. Just really getting down and dirty as far as how to approach a customer, what that looks like, what's the pre-approach look like, the 6 main parts of the presentation plan, which I think are pretty important. We talked a lot about which ones were important to you guys and why. Tonight, we're going to go over a little bit in depth about the presentation strategy, and we'll get a little bit more context built around that and what that looks like. So tonight, guys, is a special night for the class. And again, to try to give you guys the best learning environment we possibly can have, a lot of the things that I wanted to make sure that I gave you didn't stop because we can't meet in class. We've had a lot of guest speakers talk to you guys about a lot of different things. And tonight's guest speaker is a little different. The message that Todd will talk to you guys about is mastering the 3 pillars of the elite. And what does that look like? What are they? And how do you relate that to effective selling? And what does that mean to effective selling? So I want to give you guys a little bit of an insight as far as who Todd is.
Todd is one of the most sought-after mindset performance coaches on the market. He's a results-oriented visionary, business, and individual development leader who fostered the framework around achieving the 3 skills of the elite. Todd has a proven ability to inspire people, sports teams, corporate executives, and their organizations. This former professional basketball player and 3-time Hall of Famer uses cutting-edge strategies to help you achieve his 3 skills of the elite required to succeed at the highest level in your respective career or sport. As the Vice President of Sales for a leading medical device company, Todd Cetnar has mentored hundreds of individuals and teams on how to obtain his 3 elite pillars that encompass an elite mindset, elite communication skills, and elite purpose. By mastering these 3 skills of the elite, you'll start achieving your full potential and get the results you've been missing. Todd has worked with clients in a plethora of career spaces, including, but not limited to, the medical device industry, wealth management and finance companies, the New York State Public High School Athletic Association, along with many prestigious colleges and universities. Please welcome your guest, Todd Cetnar.
So guys, really honored again to welcome Todd into the effective selling class. Last semester, Todd had an opportunity to talk to your peers in the first iteration, and it was an unbelievable takeaway for a lot of the students. So I hope you have your notebooks out. I hope you have your pens out. And I will say, there's not a better basketball player that I've ever played against than Todd Cetnar. And I welcome you. I appreciate you being here. And I hope you guys enjoy what you guys are going to have for the next some time. All right. I'm going to give it over to you, Todd. I'm going to go on mute.
Sweet. Zeb, thank you so much. All right, here's my audio check. Everyone give me 2 thumbs up if you saw all the Bentley stuff in that opening video. All right. Everyone can hear me. Good stuff. So let me just switch this over and share my screen. All right. Can you guys see that okay? Is it the full screen? Good. Okay. So just so you guys, first of all, let me kick it off by saying a few things. Number one, I'm so excited to be here. As Zev mentioned, was here back in August, obviously on campus, love Bentley, great school, and it was just a great class. So a little bit different scenario, obviously, with what's going on. But there's a couple of housekeeping things I'd like to go over as we do this video type conference. First of all, so if you're wondering where I am, I'm in my in-laws' master bedroom in Anna Maria Island, Florida. I've got a newborn downstairs with 7 other people screaming and yelling. So if you hear that, I'm sorry. I've got some sort of mermaid on the back that I can't take down. So I apologize for that thing as well. But it is what it is. We're here. We're going to get it done. We're going to have some fun in the next hour or so. You'll notice me looking to the right. I've got all of you on a different laptop so I can see you as I talk, and I have my slides up in front of me. So that's why I continue to go that way. So when we get into some question and answer or just dialogue, I'm going to be looking that way to see who's saying what. So let's kick it off. Tonight's topic, and you saw it a little bit in the video, the bottom line is you guys are going to walk out of here understanding what it's going to take to be an elite individual, both professionally and personally. Okay, so we're going to walk through those 3 pillars. Now, I had to do an audible, okay, because my goal was to walk into the classroom tonight, look at each one of you sitting in your seats, and through a little bit of research, pick off everyone's name as I looked at each one of you. There's 35, 36, whatever it is, right? So my goal was to walk in and you tell me who you are, I get it all down, and I come back and say, Amanda, that's you, Frank, Alec, Emily, and go on from there, right? And I'll tell you why that was going to be my opening as we get through the presentation. However, this video conference doesn't bode well for that, so I scratched it. Obviously, I can see all your names up there, so you guys know I'm cheating to begin with. So we'll come back to that in a minute. But the reason why I was going to open that way. So in sales, you meet thousands and thousands of people per year. Okay. Matter of fact, I recently saw a stat that you meet about 80,000 people per year. So think about that. Let's say everyone lives to be 80 years old. That means that on some level, you've interacted with 6.4 million people in your lifetime. Number one, that's a lot of people. And number two, that's a lot of ways to project your influence on others as an individual and as a sales leader. Okay. So there's 3 things that separate a top salesperson from a mediocre or average salesperson. So let's talk about that. So the first one is attention to detail. You guys need to understand that every single detail matters. But in order to have great attention to detail, you need to have a great memory. That's number 2. In order to have a great memory, you need to have a strategy. And we're going to walk through that strategy tonight. So before we do that, I want to back up for a minute. I know you saw that quick video of who I am and what I do and what I did. I want to walk through my journey about how I came up with the 3 skills of the elite. So what I've realized through a quick drive run is that my slides are a bit delayed. So if I'm pausing a little bit between slides because yours are coming up about 5 seconds later than mine. All right. So if you see this slide, you're going to see two images, right? Todd Cetnar, the basketball player, and Todd Cetnar, the executive. And a few years ago, I got thinking to myself, and I kind of looked at my career or careers in the rear, and I realized that basically I had 2 segments of my life, the athlete part and the executive. And so let's just walk through the 2 different segments of my life for a second, and it'll get a chance for you guys to get to know who I am. So as a young adult, I had 15 years basically as a young adult where, I played varsity basketball for 4 years, was fortunate enough to play for my dad who coached for 40 years. I went on to go play at UAlbany, which transitioned to the Division I level and played at a pretty good level in college. I spent the next half a decade in Europe playing in 9 different countries, fortunate enough to get paid to play the game that I love. And then I had that 1 year after where I was a college basketball coach thinking that might be the path, but it wasn't. I learned that really quickly. So basically from about 14, 15 years old, almost to 28, 29, I was the guy that was following a dream to play pro basketball. So then what happened in 2006, I hung up the sneakers and I jumped into the corporate world. And hopefully you can see the slides. I'm looking here, it looks a little blurry. So hopefully you can make them out. I started in 2006 as a pharmaceutical sales rep. So now quickly just talk about the companies because these may be companies you might want to look into as you continue through your collegiate career and then into your professional career. So I opened up at Daiichi Sankyo, very small pharmaceutical company. I was in cardiovascular sales for 7 years there. I spent 5 years as a rep and 2 years as a district manager. And then I was able to break into the medical device world. for me, I always wanted to get over to the device world and become a leader there. First of all, it's a little bit more lucrative. And also, I felt like I was better at selling devices than selling the pharmaceutical piece. Both industries, I feel like, are top-notch of all salespeople out there. With that being said, I was at Zoll for a couple of years, and then I was able to go to Verathon. The recruiter called me. I became a regional business manager at Verathon. Now I stepped out of the cardiac world and into the OR. So I was managing reps that walked into the OR and did video laryngoscopy for trauma patients, and I was able to operate in that atmosphere and lead people. So then Boston Scientific came, which I feel like is one of the top companies in the world. And so when Boston recruited me, I thought this was it. I'm going to start there as a director, work my way up to VP, and hopefully someday be a CEO. Well, it's ironic because when I got to Boston, and I was there for a few years, had some success, now you got a company that's on par with Boston, maybe even more well-known, a little bit bigger, in Siemens Healthineers. So now I made the move there, and if you look at the slide, right, every move I had was a little strategic. Started in pharma, broke into med device, got out of cardiology. I moved up north in positionals, which means I moved north financially. So I was very strategic with my moves. But here's the kicker, and this is very interesting to me. As I mentioned a few years ago, I started to think about these two careers. And I started to realize, what are the most elite people, whether they're basketball players or athletes, or whether they're in a corporate world and they're leaders, what do all the elite people, the top-notch people have in common? And what I realized was there's the three same characteristics that separated them from the rest of the pack. You saw it in the video. So let me just go over them again quickly so we can move into the meat and potatoes. So I realized that if you have an elite mindset, which we'll define, if you have elite communication skills, which we'll go over, and if you understand your purpose, it's fascinating that no matter what you choose to do in life, athlete, salesperson, teacher, student, firefighter, lawyer, you name it, if you understand that if you have the right mindset, the proper communication skills, and you know your why in life, you will become ultra successful. And we'll define what ultra successful means. Now here's the kicker, right? Zev only gave me an hour or so. All right, so he's going to cut me off. So what I decided to do was, there's so much content under each pillar that I decided to just do one concept that falls under each pillar, so you guys have an idea of what to dig into as you leave the class tonight, because you're going to be able to take immediate steps and use these concepts that I teach tonight literally when you leave the class. And for me, it's going to take you one step further towards excellence. And I say excellence because I've always strived for excellence. That was the defining piece for me, is how well can I be, and whatever I go after, can I be the best at it? Not better than people, the best that I can be. So here's who's going to benefit tonight. If you want to be part of the elite club, you want to be an elite human being, not average, not mediocre. You want to be the person, and I know we all have these people in our lives. Think about someone who every time you're near, or you want to be near, because they're funny, they have energy, they're positive, you learn something, you just gravitate towards them. Those people are elite, and they did something different than many other people have done. All right, so let's get some interaction since I introduced this. So we're going to start off by defining two things. Number one is excellence, and number two is the word elite. Okay, because if you don't define things, you can't measure it. And if you can't measure it, subsequently you can't achieve it. All right, so let's take a stab at this. I don't know if you guys raise your hands physically. I can't see all the cams, but maybe you can just shout it out or tell me your name and give the answer. But what I'd like to know is, how do you define excellence? And there's no wrong answer.
I have an answer, I guess. I'll try. Simone.
All right, what's your name? Simone, okay.
Yeah, I guess just like giving it your very best effort, like giving something your all, just like doing the best you can do.
Awesome. Great answer. Let's get another one.
Hi,
Oh, wait.
Oh.
You go.
I'm Caitlin.
Okay.
I say striving for or excellence itself means going the extra mile in everything you do.
Great answer. All right, we had one more. Who was that?
That was me.
Who's me?
Zach.
Zach. Okay, Zach. What's your last name, Zach?
Barth.
Gotcha. Okay. I'm just keeping track of people that I looked up. Okay.
I was just gonna say trying to have everything as perfect as possible every time. It has to be consistent in order to be excellent.
Good answer. I love the consistent part. I will say be careful on the perfect part. We're never going to be perfect, but if we strive for excellence, we're going to take the failures, and that's going to take those failures are learnings in order for us to continue to move north. But 3 very good answers. There's a lot of definitions for excellence. Here's my favorite one. It's doing a common thing in an uncommon manner. So let's think about that for a minute. I think it was Alex, right? Alex Rogers mentioned golf. Okay. So golf is a common game. A lot of us play it. Tiger Woods plays golf in an uncommon manner. You can take it as far as to say there's 825 active PGA Tour cards currently on the circuit. 825 golfers play golf in an uncommon manner. That's excellence because they got there through the answers you 3 gave me. Consistency, continuing to push themselves, giving it their all. That's what Tiger Woods and the rest of that crew has done. One example. Another example could be, we all live in the Northeast, right? Lindsey Vonn, amazing skier. We all love to ski, or most of us love to ski, living where we live. Lindsey Vonn takes a common sport that we all do, and she does it in an uncommon manner. She's achieved excellence, and there's a plethora of people that I can obviously name. So that's excellence. Now let's talk about what it means to be elite. And before we define it, again, I'd like just some volunteers. You can just spitfire. When you think of people who are elite, we just probably named 2 of them. Let's start with sports only. Throw out a name where you feel like that person is elite in their sport.
Tom Brady.
Very good.
Derek Jeter.
Jeter. Oh, look at that. A Boston fan and a New York fan. I love it. Yep.
LeBron.
Bron.
Conor McGregor.
Who said that?
Me. Zach.
Zach, you and I are good friends. He's my favorite. He's crazy, but he's fun to watch. Conor McGregor, Serena Williams, Michael Phelps. All right, let's slide over to the corporate world. Think about the leaders at the top. Who would you say are elite people in the corporate world?
Warren Buffett.
Buffett.
Bezos.
Bill Gates.
Amazon. Gates.
Iger.
Yes. Musk. Jobs was, right? All these people, the elite. So let's just make sure, though, and we'll define it in a second, but I want to make sure, actually, no, I'll show it to you now, and then we'll clear it up. So elite, right? It's a small group of powerful people who hold a disproportionate amount of wealth, privilege, power, or skill in society. Now, the reason why I kind of bolded and enlarged skill is because you can be wealthy and not be elite. You might have inherited it. You maybe didn't do anything for it. You could be privileged, the same thing. But if you have skills, those skills are going to get you wealthy, privileged, powerful, and so on. And so I believe that that's the one pull away from that definition that we should be striving for, is to get that skill. So here's the difference between excellence and elite. Excellence is putting the work in to become uncommon. Elite is possessing the disproportionate skill from the work that you put in. Okay, makes sense? So now that we've identified both excellence and elite, let's talk about what we're going to become elite in. Okay? So this is pillar number one. Again, you guys saw my 3 pillars and how I came up with them. So I'm going to define this for you. Take a look at that definition. Elite mindset is the ability to have full control over your thinking, your attitude, and your behavior when faced with life's challenges in order to grow and achieve excellence in all areas of your life. So I want you to think about that for a minute. That second part of that sentence is extremely important. Here's why. We can all have a great mindset when things are going well, right? Everything's going well. We got good grades. Spring's right around the corner. We've got a girlfriend or boyfriend, great family. Summer's coming soon. We feel good. We're in shape. All these things, right? It's easy to think positively. But when you're going through a vice, or when you're getting put into a vice and that vice is closing on you, you got a test coming up you didn't study for. Maybe you're trying to get into shape and it's one of those mornings where it's rainy, it's cold, you had too much to drink last night, you stayed up late, it's 6:30 in the morning, it's the only time you can work out. What is your mindset going to tell you then? Hit the snooze button or jump out of bed, grab a cup of coffee or a protein shake, and let's go do what we don't want to do because we have an end goal. So a person with an elite mindset has a growth mentality. They know how to handle feedback. They understand how to handle a setback. There's a great example. I said it to the last class in August. NASA, when they solicit astronauts, they do not take astronauts or candidates that have this squeaky clean resume where nothing went wrong and they were like elite the whole way through. They took people that had major setbacks, bounced back from them, and kept climbing. The reason why is when they're sitting in space, thousands of miles from Earth, and something goes wrong, they need to be able to handle that and be in that position prior so they understand that they can handle it calmly. They understand that they can take the emotion out of it. And so that's why they never take people that have never had a setback. So that's an elite mindset. And if you guys can understand that the way you think is going to separate you from everyone else. So whether it's now as a student, as a son or daughter, as eventual parents, in your profession, it's what you think, what you put into your mind every day, what you focus on is going to separate you if you want to achieve high goals like I wanted to and like I continue to do. Okay, so what makes a great salesperson? You got to have an elite mindset. A few minutes ago, I talked about what separates a top salesperson from an average one. And I alluded to the fact that it was attention to detail. Here, I'm going to give you an example. Here's what happens typically for sales reps, particularly in my world, right? The pharma or med device, Zev knows this all too well. You get a pharmaceutical rep. It's invited into a doctor's office, not the total office, his actual office. The doctor says, all right, let's sit down. You got 20 minutes, pitch me your product. Okay. So what does an average rep do? Rep goes in, he knows his product, understands his product knowledge. He asks questions. He jumps into the sales call. He closes the doctor for business. He leaves hoping there's a change in prescribing habits. Doesn't do much between calls. 2 weeks later, he follows up, asks the doctor how it's going. The doctor says, great, although he didn't do anything. And half the time, the rep doesn't even know what was said the previous call because there was no notes. There's nothing put to memory. And so you don't really change a doctor's prescribing habit, and they go on and do this for years, and they stay average reps. Here's the difference. A great salesperson, they take everything in. They see everything. They walk into an office, and basically they take the total office call, put it to memory, and understand how to leverage that. They learn the entire office staff's name in one visit. They hear office chatter. What is this nurse like for breakfast? How does the nurse practitioner like her coffee? Where did the doctor go on vacation? How many kids does the physician have? They see pictures on the wall, memorabilia on the shelf, all while they're just walking through this office, getting to the doctor to then have a 20-minute conversation. So now they've got all these things in their head and they can use to leverage to build relationships, have a little bit of charisma, have some salesmanship, but stay the course and deliver their product and use their product knowledge. So here's the question that looms. How does a great salesperson take all that in when so much is going on in one call, and typically you make 8 to 10 calls a day? Well, this is where attention to detail and understanding that you need to have a great memory in order to do these things. So, and I say great, I love to use the word elite because for me, that's just the 1%ers, less than 1%ers. So I'll leave you with this example and then we'll start to put this to work. Here's what I want to do. I want to see if I can get everyone on the screen here. Okay. Show of hands. How many times have you been introduced to someone? You walk up to them, you shake their hand. Hey, I'm Todd. Hey, I'm Susie. You talk for 3 minutes. You walk away. 5 minutes later, you have no idea what their name is. Raise your hand. I think I see almost everybody. Okay. Think about that. So let's jump into the first concept under elite mindset is recall and memory. Before we dive into these strategies, I just want to guess, now that you all know my 3 pillars, elite mindset, communication, and purpose, why do you think I'm putting memory under elite mindset versus maybe the other 2s? Just a shot in the dark and we'll come back to it. Give me some answers. There's no wrong answer.
I have an answer, I think.
Who's that?
Amanda.
Yeah.
I mean, like you just said, when you talk to that person and then you already forget their name, like when you're going into maybe a sales meeting, you need to have the mindset like beforehand that you're going to try to remember like their name and everything that they said, and maybe do what you can if it's taking notes or just like practicing having a good memory to be able to get the most out of that meeting.
Awesome. I'm trying to find you. There you are. Gotcha. You got a head behind you. What do you got going on over there?
Oh, some paintings.
All right. That's good. Perfect. All right. So here's what we're going to do. Let's quickly talk about the 4 of these, and then we're going to get a volunteer. So storytelling. What is storytelling? Well, it's exactly what it is, right? It's linking a story to your memory, which is one of the best ways to bring something to life, right? So it's extremely vivid, and it's actually the way our brains are wired going back to the caveman days, right? Is if anyone's done Rosetta Stone is all pictures. There's no English, and whatever language you're doing, they're going to show you a picture. You're going to say whatever the language is, Spanish, and that's how you get taught the language. So storytelling is a very powerful way to improve memory and recall. Imagery actually goes hand in hand. So it's exactly what it is. You're taking an image and you're basically putting it to a semi-story, and you're remembering certain things that you need to remember through one image. All right, memory mansion. So memory mansion can also be called memory palace. And so what you're basically doing is you're storing mnemonic images in one place. A lot of times when I'm doing it, and I'll use this example tonight, I'll use my body, right? My foot, my knee, my arm, because it has to be a very familiar place. Maybe your apartment or your dorm room or your home, your home. You got to use something that you're familiar with, because if you forget the place, you're obviously not going to remember what you're supposed to remember. The last one is chunking. And chunking I actually used for the exercise that I was going to do to kick this off, which was to remember all your names in a split second. So I'll talk a little bit about that. All right, let's have some fun. So, all right, Amanda, I see you, so I'm going to use you as the first volunteer. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. What I want you to do when I show this tracking number is just say it to the class. Just read it. You ready?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
The 1Z, 7R6, 861, A2, 2302, 6976.
Okay. All right, repeat it again.
I only got the 6976 at the end.
You got nothing else?
Nope. A1 in the beginning, I think.
Wait, say that again?
A1 in the beginning, maybe?
Not the beginning. It was around there.
Okay.
Anyone else want to give it a shot? I see Matt smiling. Do you have anything, Matt, or you just?
I had the first 5, but I lost them real quick. So no.
Okay. Anyone else? All right. Let's forget about that. Amanda, I'm going to come back to you. You ready?
Yeah.
All right. Here's what I want you to do. I'm going to tell you a quick story. All right. Forget the tracking number. We'll come back to that.
Okay.
So listen to me. There was one zebra. And there was 7 reindeer, but only 6 of them had antlers. What did I just say?
There was 1 zebra and 7 reindeers, and only 6 of them had antlers.
Right. Do me a favor. Don't write anything down. You'll get this. I see you. You'll get it. Don't worry. Trust me. Okay. So there's 1 zebra. He just walked into this room that I'm in. 7 reindeer followed this zebra, and only 6 of them had antlers. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now, in this room is basically 861 square feet. How big is it?
861 square feet.
Yeah, right. And for whatever reason, there's a sign as you walk into this room, and it's A2. It's like an apartment. Got it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, repeat the first part for me.
There's 1 zebra, 7 reindeers, and only 6 have antlers.
Yep, keep going.
And then the room is 861 square feet.
Yep.
And there's a sign that says A2.
Right. And so when I walked in the room, there was a cell phone here. And as I turned it on and looked at it, I noticed that under my number, the last 4 digits were 2302. What were they?
2302.
And what was over there that I saw it on?
A telephone.
Right, cell phone, right?
Oh, yeah.
Yep. And next to it was another cell phone, and the last 4 digits of that one was 6976. What was it?
6976.
So tell me that story again.
Can you tell me the first phone number one more time?
The first phone number?
Yeah.
All right, last time. It was 2302.
Okay.
All right. Michael Jordan, and I don't know any athlete. Oh, Derek Jeter, 02. There you go. That's a lot of a hint. You don't need that. Alex is excited about that one. All right. So tell me that story.
You walked into a room, there was 1 zebra, 7 reindeers, and only 6 of them had antlers. The room is 861 square feet. You walked in, there's a sign that says A2. And then your phone number, oh God.
There are 2 cell phones sitting there. The first
2302 was the first one. I think I lost the second one.
No, you didn't. You didn't.
8376?
No.
No.
Close.
Yeah, I don't know that one.
All right, here, I'm going to, Zev, are you there?
Yep.
Can I be a little inappropriate with this class? How do they handle it?
They actually thrive on inappropriateness.
Amanda, the first one is a sex act, then 76.
6976?
Everybody, let's give her a round of applause. I know we're on mute. All right. So listen to me. For everyone in the class right now, I promise you that you will never forget this tracking number. You will never forget this tracking number. So what we basically did is we did the first one, which is storytelling. You'll always remember there's a 1 zebra coming in with 7 reindeer. They only had 6 antlers. This was 861 square feet in Todd's in-laws' master bedroom with a sign that had A2 and 2 cell phones that were 2302 and 6976. Okay? So let's hang tight. I want to rip through this for the sake of time. I'm going to come back and tell you why this is so important for you as a person and to be a great salesperson. Amanda, awesome job. I
Thank
saw you
you.
writing. I saw you writing down the start. All
I
right.
know I was cheating.
All right. I need another volunteer. Anyone, say your name and I'll come over to you.
Brendan Lordy.
Got you right here. All right, Brendan, you ready?
Sure.
Here's what I want you to do, okay?
All right.
All right. After class tonight, I want you to call your mother, grab butter and apples from the grocery store. I want you to pick up coffee for yourself, and then when you go home tonight, it's going to get pretty late, but if you don't do this by tomorrow, you're going to get locked out. I need you to change your password to your laptop to Blossom, okay? All right, so tell me what you got to do.
I had to call my mother and tell her to grab apples. And then I got to, when I get home tonight, change my computer password to Blossom. And I think I missed one.
Okay. I need one volunteer. Did he miss? How many did he miss?
He missed 2 things.
Who's that?
Alex Rogers.
Alex. Okay, buddy.
Yeah.
So it's, first of all, let me just say, this one's not that hard of one, but it gets really hard, Brendan, when you're on the spot. Okay? So for the sake of illustration, I'm doing this in reverse. Take a look at this photo. I don't know whose mother that is, but I just got it from somewhere. It's not mine. If you need to remember something and you want to do it through imagery, you got to put that image in your head. So here's where this is a really good one. You're in the car. Maybe you're going for a run. You're in the fitness center. You're somewhere where you don't have pen or paper. Whatever the case may be, and you need to do 2 or 3, 4 unrelated things. Imagery is a great one. So Brendan, basically what I said, if you look at that picture, and this picture is created by someone who told me this example. I wouldn't create this picture. You guys need to create the picture that will work for you. So basically, this is a guy's mother, because he has to call his mother after class, and I related it to you. And then he needs to go to the supermarket and get butter. That's a butter churner. Now, you guys are way younger than me, but I don't even know what that is, but this guy did. Apple, which you see, grab a coffee, and then you'll see the cherry blossom trees from DC behind them. You have to change your password to Blossom, right? So when you put imagery together with all these different things that you need to remember, it's not like it's just produce. You need to get apples, oranges, and bananas. That's easy. But when you need to call your mom, get butter, apples, you forgot the butter, and everyone does because it's the first one. And then you forgot the coffee because you were thinking about apples, but you got Blossom because it was last. So that's how our mind works. Our mind kind of skips, right? And so when you put something together, here's how this would really work. Let's just say that, after I get done tonight, I want to make sure I go say goodnight to my daughter, which I hope I don't forget that. That would be bad. But say goodnight to my daughter. I want to go send an email. I need to make a phone call. I need to run to the grocery store quick and get peanut butter. And then I need to come back and find a charger, right? That's where I'd put that image together and make it one single picture, right? Maybe I'm eating peanut butter while I'm looking for a charger while holding my baby, right? Just putting 3 things together. You got to put it together. The more outrageous you get, the better you'll remember it. All right? So that's imagery. Okay, memory mansion. This is a fun one. Here's what I'm going to try to do for this one. Can everybody come off mute for a second? I just want to see how much background noise there is. Sweet. We're going to give this a try. Okay. Here we go. Can everyone see basically almost all of me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Here's what I want you guys to think about. I'll come closer to talk because of the mic. Just follow me. This is crazy, but I'm going to put it all together. All right? I want you to think about I'm not that flexible, but on my foot, can you see my foot? See my foot?
Yeah.
I want you to think about on the top of my foot, I'm washing tons of laundry on my foot. Washing tons of laundry on my foot. Zach's dying laughing over there. I see. All right. On my shin, right here, I want you to think of my Adam's apple as actually on my shin. Okay? And then on my knee, can you see my knee? There's a chef and a son. Chef and son, and they're cooking on my knee. Then on my, right here on my thigh, I got a huge cut and I'm pouring medicine. I'm pouring medicine on my thigh. And then one more and then we'll keep going. On my belt, I want you to think about Marilyn Monroe dancing on my belt. All right. Here's what I want to do, and I want to do this in unison. On a count of 3, I want everyone to say what I just said.
Ooh. So you're washing laundry on, oh, we're doing top of 3? Sorry.
Right? On the count of 3, let me see if I can do it. I'm going to let you guys go even if it's a disaster. Then I might call on someone. I just want to see. On the count of 3, tell me the 5 things that I did. I said 1, 2, 3.
You're washing laundry on the top of your foot. You have an Adam's apple on your shin. There's a chef. You have chefs on the knee. Your thigh that you're pouring medicine on. And then you have Marilyn Monroe dancing on your belt.
Awesome. A complete disaster, but I loved it. Okay. All right. So we got Marilyn Monroe, okay? Now, listen. I want you to think about, there's another Adam's apple, but it's growing out of my stomach. Okay, this second Adam's apple is just growing out of my stomach. Then here, can you see my right hand? Oh, it's actually my left hand, I'm sorry. On my left hand, it's Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson's dancing on my left hand. Right? All right, you got it? On my right hand, you all get this, there's a van with beer in it. There's a van with beer in it. Okay? In my mouth, there's a sun coming out of my mouth. Now I got a beard, okay? There's a sun coming out of my mouth, so it's a hairy sun. Hairy sun shining out of my mouth. 2 more. On my head, I want you to picture that I'm like tiling my head, right? Like not carpet, but I'm taking tile and I'm tiling my head. I'm putting tile on my head. And then the last one is as I look up here, there's polka dots. There's all polka dots on the ceiling. Okay, just real quick. I'm looking at Jack Kennedy. Jack.
Yep.
What was going on my belt?
Marilyn Monroe was dancing on it.
Awesome. Now, everyone again, after Marilyn Monroe, let's start again. Okay, we're going to start right with my stomach and go up. 1, 2, 3.
The second Adam's apple is over your
stomach.
like explosions.
Left hand, you got Michael Jackson dancing. Right hand, you got a truck full of van, beer.
Sun in your
mouth, you got a hairy sun.
You had a beard?
The sun coming out of piling your head. You look up and there's a bunch of polka dots everywhere.
Awesome. Hold on, I need to know, who said you've got a sun coming out of your mouth that is hairy? I'm just curious of that terminology. Who was that?
I said that.
Who's that?
Connor.
Connor. Okay, that's not bad. All right. So, okay, I need one volunteer to do the whole thing.
I'll do it. I'll take a shot.
Who said that?
Oh, I think multiple people did, but I did as well. Alex Rogers.
Okay, Alex. All right, I see you. You're right there. All right, here we go. Starting with my foot.
You got someone, you're washing laundry on your foot.
Yep.
You got an Adam's apple on your shin.
Mm-hmm.
You have a chef and his son cooking on your knee. You got a cut on your thigh and you're pouring medicine on it. Marilyn Monroe's dancing on your belt. You got another Adam's apple growing out of your stomach. And then on your left hand, you got Michael Jackson dancing. Your right hand, you got a van full of beer. You got a hairy sun coming out of your mouth. You're tiling on your head. And you look up and there's polka dots on the ceiling.
Give him a hand.
Wow.
That was awesome. And now, who was the other person that also jumped up to volunteer with Adam? Or Alex, sorry.
That was me. That was Zach.
Zach. All right. We're going to change gears for a minute. I want you to tell me, all right, separate thing. I want you to tell me the first 11 presidents of the United States. Go.
The first 11? Okay. George Washington, Sam Adams. Yeah, that's it. I'm blanking. Thomas Jefferson's in there somewhere.
Do something with me.
Okay.
What was on my foot?
You were washing laundry.
Washington. What was on here?
Adams.
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 Chef? Son?
Jefferson.
Jefferson.
Oh. Cut pouring medicine in it.
Pouring medicine on it. What's that?
Don't.
James Madison.
Oh.
Madison medicine. That's the toughest one, but we had to do it. Okay. What's next?
Monroe.
Monroe on my belt. What's next?
Adams.
Second Adams, the father. What was going on here?
Jackson.
Jackson.
Is that Van Buren?
Awesome. What's here?
Harrison. Tiles? Don't know.
Tyler. No problem. Tough one.
Tyler.
Tyler. And what's going on up here?
Polka dots.
You know what that is?
Polk.
Awesome. So you did know the first 11 presidents of the United States.
I guess so.
So here's the deal with memory mansion, okay? When you're studying, this is a great one. You're studying, and you've got a lot of things to start memorizing. You start piling up. I've been there. You guys are probably all smarter than me, but I was there where it's like I got the first 3, and all of a sudden I start to get overwhelmed. Time's running out. The test is tomorrow. If you start putting it, whether it is, again, I use my body, you can use anything you're familiar with, you will never forget the first 11 presidents of the United States again. None of you. Because that image is in your mind. So that's a great way. Obviously, I did it backwards, but it's a great way to learn. Maybe you need to study product knowledge as a rep. Again, maybe it's things are piling up and you want to use memory mansion instead of imagery or storytelling. And just use your body parts. That's a great way to learn a lot of things you need to memorize, but you're not memorizing, because memorizing is short term. You're going to lose it. And I'm going to show you a statistic. But if you can put it to imagery, memory mansion, the palace, or tell a story, you're going to remember it that much better. So awesome job, Zach. All right. Here's the last one. Very quickly. Do you know what that is? Oh, shit. It says on the left-hand side. That's all of you.
Yeah.
That's all of you. So here's a little insight of what I was going to do if we were together in person. All right. I asked Zev a little while ago to give me everyone's name, and it looks your pictures were on there. And I'm thinking to myself, shit, how am I going to learn this in such a short amount of time? Then I started thinking, all right, let me try it. So I did it, but then I thought this was going to be canceled. So I said, you know what? Okay, I'm not doing it. So I went to a different method where if I was going to come speak with you guys again, I would use memory mansion and association to meet each one of you in person and be able to recall it back right in front of you. However, I had a little bit of time to prep, so here's what I did. This is a little small, but you're going to understand how I did this. The first thing I did is I organized all of you. How did I organize you? So I put everyone in alphabetical order. That's number 1. Number 2, I sorted out in 3 segments because our mind works really well in 3s. I sorted out, okay, there's 5 A's and a B. There's 5 C's. Obviously, there's no D. and there's one E. So 5 and 1, I started the chunk. I got to the second or third and fourth row, and they're essentially the same. It was a row of 3 with 1s and a row of 3 with 2s. So that was easy to me. But then I got to the last 2, and I'm thinking, oh man, 4 and 1, 4, 1 and 2. I can see that there's no ends, there's no P or Qs. And then there's like 2, 2, 1. So I was getting a little difficult. So here's what I did. I realized like, okay, it's 5 and 1. Then it's like a group of 3s, 1 with 1, 1 with 2, very simple. Then it was 4 and 1, then 3 2s to follow. So that made a little bit more sense to my brain. So I went 4 1 2 2 2 1 1. So that was a little bit more difficult one that I ended up putting to memory. I did a few more things. I knew that there was 4 males and 1 female in the first one. I knew that there was 1 student with a B and 1 student with an E. That might not be showing all the way down, but I'll just say it. And I also knew that there was 2 females to 3 males in the C's. Right? So again, I'm chunking even further. On top of that, I put all the females first on the list. If you can look closely enough, you'll see a dot. So all the females had a dot to the right-hand side. The males didn't. Then I just calculated, okay, how many females to males, 16 to 18. And then what I did is I associated everyone as I started to go through it. I associated them to someone I know, right? I don't know Amanda Parker. I know Amanda Rose. I don't know Alec, but I have a nephew named Alex. And I also know that there was an Alex next. So Amanda, Alec, Alex. Then I don't know Andrew. Andrew, I don't know your last name. I'm sorry. Is he there? I don't know if everyone. Clegg, maybe?
Yeah, that's right.
Andrew Clegg. There you go. So right. So Andrew Clegg. I know Andrew Gaduco. And then I actually don't know in Austin, but I love the city. So I started to associate each one of you to someone that I knew. So this is where chunking is really effective, is when there's a lot of information. What you basically do is you break it down as small as you can, little by little. So when I got 5 and 1 and I got those first 12, then I moved on to the next. When I got 3 and 1, 3 and 2, then I moved on to the next. And the more things I could chunk, the better off I was. Okay, so that's chunking. That's the last part of that. Okay, so why is memory so important? Thank you so much for the interaction. Let me first go back for a minute and tell you why, answer the question, why did I put it under elite mindset? Well, first of all, it could have been under communication. But if you want to be great at having amazing recall, great memory, being able to meet people on the fly, what do we say, 6.4 million in a lifetime, remember each of them, maybe remember what they do, remember one thing about them, that takes the right mindset. That takes effort. Okay, I didn't grab those things, your names from Zev, and put them all together and study them a little bit after dinner, took a little bit of time away from my family to make sure that I knew each and every one of you because I didn't care. I felt that was important. I wanted to separate myself from all the other speakers that Zev brought in. And also, I continue to train my brain properly to remember things. The first thing we do when someone says something is we go grab a pen or we put it in our iPhone. And there's so much technology out there that no one learns to think anymore. So here's a stat for you. After one day of learning something, 24 hours, you only take in 54% of what you learned the day before. Think about that. Here's the more astonishing one. 28 days later after you learn something, you only recall 18%. Now, I hire people for a living. I rely on them to deliver $300 million a year. And they put food on my table for my family. Do you think I'm going to hire someone that can only recall 18% after a month of training? Even better, do you think I want to hire someone? Let's say we have a meeting yesterday, and today they only remember half. There's no way. So here's what I encourage you to do under mindset, having the right mindset, and working on memory and recall. What I encourage every one of you to do is to make sure that you're working your mind, whether it's through tons of YouTube videos on this stuff, lots of books. Whenever you meet someone, repeat their name. It's very, very effective. If you didn't get it, don't let it go by the wayside. I'm sorry, what'd you say? Steve? Got it. Okay. You never know who you're meeting. You never know a missed opportunity. And I'm sure there's things that people that you've encountered where you're like, shit, I wish I knew their name because they knew this, or you needed something later on and you completely forgot who they were, where they're from, and what they do, but you needed something, right? So the next party you're at, I'll speak in your language as a college student. Next party you're at, I encourage you to use one of the four and see how many names you can come away with if you don't know people, or maybe if you do know them and they add something to the conversation, something about them, their family. Try to use something in the spur of the moment. I don't know, Emily loves elbow macaroni. Elbow macaroni, and I know Emily Valentine. Emily Valentine likes elbow macaroni. You see her face, you put the association together, you see her 3 weeks later, walk into class and whatever, right? You got something about Emily and you build on that. Because when it comes to sales and you remember everything about that doctor, everything about their office staff, maybe you need to know everything about the competitor, this is the way you're going to do it. Not just, our lives are too fast paced right now to just go with the flow and hopefully things stick. You got to have a strategy. All right. I know it's 20 of, and we got about 20 minutes left. I hope, Zev, if you're cool with that, I want to go through 2 more pillars. So, elite communication. What does that mean? You guys can go back on mute if you want, if you haven't already. So, elite communication is the skills needed to communicate at a high level, to interact purposefully, I should say, both verbally and non-verbally, through gestures, body language, and of course your personal appearance, right? So there's a lot of different ways that we can communicate. And when I think about communication, I think about, and I said this earlier, who has charisma? Who's the person you want to be around? Who has presence, right? I have a leader right now at Siemens. Her name is Jennifer Zen. There can be a million things going on. We've got issues with our warehouse. We got COVID-19 going. We're losing millions of dollars of revenue. And when she sees me, she'll walk up and say, how's Finley doing? How's your family doing? And she's right here with me. And when she's done with that conversation, maybe we go over to talk business, but it's amazing how she can drop everything and show her calm, that leadership calm in the midst of a storm. Active listening, eye contact, she's got it all. It's amazing. But here's the big one for me, and I spoke about this in August when I was on campus with that class, is brand, okay? Brand. So let's open the lines up again, and let's have someone tell me what their definition of brand is.
Todd, I could do it. I think brand is pretty much just how the public perceives your business or your product or your service. It's just that public perception in all realms, PR, marketing, etc.
Awesome. Is that Matt?
Yep.
That's a good one. Let's get one more. Personal brand. Matt gave us one more about the corporate brand. Andrew, see you raising your hand.
I was gonna say brand is like the public perception of what your purpose is.
That's good. I like that. There's a lot of definitions for brand. Here's my favorite. It's what people say about you when you're not in a room. That's your brand. Let's talk about 3 things that has to do with brand. Here's the first one. This is very, very important. I just wrote it here as it's always showtime, meaning that every day with every bit of interaction you have, every human interaction, that you engage in, there's going to be an opinion formed of you, good or bad or indifferent. And this comes on how you personally affect the individual that you're engaged with. Okay. So the green light is always on when it comes to forming your brand. Here's the good part. If you're intentional about your brand and you commit to it, you have the ability to develop the brand you want and not let others develop it for you, because that's what happens a lot of times. I'll give you an example, right? You can't turn this off like a light switch. If you're in a bad mood one day, maybe you don't really like someone, you treat them a little bit differently because you're just irritated. If you want an elite life, if you want to be ultra successful, the minute your feet hit the floor in the morning to the minute you raise your feet in bed at night, you need to be on, period. You got one life and you gotta be on. Now, we're gonna have our days, we're human. But when you take it back to elite mindset, and now you bring it forward to elite communication skills and understand that they go hand in hand, I'm telling you right now, you're going to separate yourself from everyone else going for that job or going for that promotion if you keep these two things in mind. Trust me. You'll be part of the elite club. Now, I think I said elite club before once. Who's in that elite club? It's that person, again, that you just gravitate towards. They're always winning. They're always excelling. They're always getting promoted. And they just understand the balance of their life and how to affect and influence people. Those people have figured out this formula. So here's how you figure out your brand. I'm going to give you an exercise to go home with. I think the bottom again might be just barely cut off. It was about 10, 12 years ago. I kind of learned about brand and I wanted to, there's some leaders that I hung out with and I'm like, man, just like Jennifer's in, I want to be more like them. I want to keep getting better. So here's what I did. I went to the, 6 closest people to me. And for me, it's my family. For you guys, it might be your friends, could be siblings, parents, grandparents, cousins, whatever it is. I went to my mom and my dad, my 2 sisters, of course, my wife, and my brother-in-law. And I said to them, hey, tell me 3 things about me. Good, bad, and different. Just whatever comes to mind about Todd Cetnar. Tell me what they are. Text me them separately and let me know. Okay, so this is what I got back. Hopefully you guys can see it. But if you just take a look at the few examples, and the reason why I color-coded it is because I felt some of these went together, right? So let's just look at, the red. My sister said, one sister said ambitious, determined. My brother-in-law said tenacious. To me, that's all kind of one. Okay, that's great. There's another one here that's hardworking. I see that twice. Desire to learn. Those kind of went together. Committed and dedicated, maybe perfectionist. Those went together. So luckily they were nice to me. There weren't any negatives, but I'm sure there are. But at least here I know that okay, I learned a lesson from one of them. So my brother-in-law wrote tenacious. Now Todd Cetnar, the athlete. If my brand is tenacious, that's an awesome brand, right? I get after it on a court. I compete. I want to win. That's a great brand. But as a leader of people, I'm not sure if tenacious is the best brand anymore. I want to be a leader of people. I want them to be able to call me anytime, be able to have an open door where they can come in and have a conversation professionally and personally. But if they feel like I'm always tenacious, maybe it's hard to approach me, that's not the best brand. So that's an area where I'm thinking, okay, maybe I need to get rid of that brand as an athlete, and that needs to be fulfilled with something different, like some of the other ones, right? So this is a great exercise for you guys. If you trust the person you're asking, they're going to be honest and give you good feedback. This is a great way. Pick 2, 3, 4 people and figure out your brand. Here's the kicker. Once you get it, what you don't like, that's the ones you focus in on and change. If they say you're moody, they never know which mat they're going to get, right? Whatever the case may be, those are the areas where you want to start to focus in and level set that. So that's your brand. All right, last pillar. We're almost there. So I want you guys to understand something. And I'm going to read this verbatim because I think it's important. You were all born with a deep and meaningful purpose that you have to discover. Your purpose is not something that you need to make up. It's already there. It's already in you, but you guys just have to uncover it. And you're at a great stage of your life to figure out what that is. So in order to create the life you want, now's the time to start figuring this out. Now you may ask yourself, just sitting there reading this, so, well, what's my purpose in life? Or what's my profession going to be? Or what do I want to do? Well, so here's how you begin the process. You need to discover your passion, or your purpose by exploring two things. What do you love to do? And what comes easily to you? Okay. Now I want you to think about those two things, because if you love to do something and it comes fairly natural, well, you're a step ahead and you got to figure out how to monetize that in order to serve others. If you love to do something and you're not very good at it, you got to figure out how to get good at it. Then you take the next steps. I love to lead people. I love to achieve goals. I love to build strategies in order to see them come to fruition. I'm a VP of sales of a medical device company because I can do all those things. It took me a while to get there, but I knew where I wanted to go. And I knew that if I did some of these things, that I would get there. At the time, I didn't know what they were, but as I uncovered them a few years ago, I realized, okay, this is what people need to know. I also love to speak. I enjoy serving others. I enjoy sharing wisdom like this that's been shared with me. You'll notice on the right hand of every slide and on the first slide that I showed, you saw Siemens Healthineers and you saw Cetnar Consulting. Well, I started my own business. I launched it January 1st to now monetize doing things like this, where I either do keynote speaking, which this is essentially is, one-to-one coaching, or team consulting. And so that's both in the athletic world and the corporate world. So, okay, now that you've figured this out, before you begin to attack that profession or that goal, here's the last thing you need to do. You need to find out, and I just touched on those two, you need to find out what is your why. So finding your why or finding your purpose are essentially the same things. And here's why you got to find that out before you go figure out the rest of your goals. Everybody needs a why. They may be financial, maybe positional, maybe family, it may be whatever, getting into shape, fitness. But before you set out to achieve a job, get in shape, you got to figure out your why, because here's the deal. I'm going to tell you mine. Mine is my family. I've got my wife, Chrissy, who's a singer, music therapist. She started her own kind of gig in New York. We were in Boston the last 7 years. She works with traumatic brain injury, stroke, and Parkinson's patients. Very rewarding job. And so she found her love of life, which was music and helping patients. So we've got a family, two leaders of now a young girl, 2 dogs. I count them. There are fur babies. I'll show them to you, right? Jameson and Bailey. And then you got the baby, which is Finley, who we just had in January. So you got the 2 people at the top that absolutely love what they do. And believe me, whether as you guys might be future parents or as friends or as brothers or sisters, if you can project what you love in life, you are going to be that person that attracts people. Trust me on that. So here's why you need to find your why before you go get that goal. I mentioned it earlier, like if it's sunny out, spring's around the corner, maybe we're starting to get into shape, right? Getting that beach body, whatever the case may be. There are days where you're going to wake up again and you're not going to feel good. You have the sniffles. I mentioned some of these things. And it's those days where you're committed to something. And when you don't want to do it, you can think back to your why. It comes up in your Rolodex and you can say, okay, today I've got 10 conference calls and I don't want to do them. But I also have a 7-week-old. I've got a wife at home. I've got a mortgage to pay. I'm doing these calls. And the other part of it is, well, I found something I love to do, even though today doesn't feel like it. But here's the deal. I love this quote. What is commitment? Commitment is doing what you said you would do long after the mood you set it in has left you. That's commitment. So I'll close with just the recap. Get the right mind, build the right communication skills, find your purpose, find your why. And what we touched on today under each one was build a memory and recall. Don't be the person that forgets things 20 days later and only remembers 18%. Create your brand. Know that it's going to be created for you if you don't work on it. And find your why. Elite salespeople master the art of these 3 pillars. And they're also great at social skills and obviously selling skills. So I encourage you guys, if you didn't take any notes at all, these 3 pillars right here and what we talked about underneath them, and I can send a deck to Zev, but this is the area you want to work on. So hopefully you have a couple minutes left if we have time for Q&A, but I want to leave you with one quote that I firmly believe in, which is invest in yourself to the point that it makes someone else want to invest in you, right? And that's where I finally got with Cetnar Consulting. I love Siemens, but to wake up every day and get asked to do something like this with you guys, this is my passion. So thank you guys, Zev, thank you.
Pleasure to have you. Questions for Todd? Andrew.
I had a quick question. Oh,
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead, Fred.
oh, okay. So when we were talking about memory recall, and you mentioned like you never know when you might meet someone important or whatever. Like, I was just wondering, like, what do you feel about when people say they just trust their gut instinct? Because like when you meet someone, within the first 10 seconds, your brain's automatically going to judge them in a sense where it's like, you know, you're going to want to or not want to like be involved with this person. And like obviously in sales specifically, it seems like if you're like networking, then meeting anyone is important. But when your brain tells you it's like, okay, I'm just gonna use a personal example. Like if I think this person's irrelevant, I'm not gonna remember their name.
Mm-hmm.
So like, is that gonna be like very detrimental in the future for me in the business? Or is that just like trusting your gut instinct is okay when networking in business?
Yeah, Fred, that's an awesome question. And listen, I think we all do that. We all kind of shun people that we feel like, this is bad to say, but I'm going to keep it real. Like if we feel like they have no use for us, they can't help us, you might meet them and you're just like, whatever. Yeah. Hey, nice to meet you. You're moving on with your life. Here's what I learned though. And I learned it later in life. I'm 42 years old now. And I wish I learned it earlier. That person that you said, I'll use your words, like has no relevance to you. What if in 5 years they're your boss? You didn't realize it. They're your boss's boss, and you didn't realize it until you got the job. And you're like, oh, shit. Right? So here's what I would say. I'm not saying to get involved in every conversation with every single person you come across. But what I am saying is if you can remember someone's name, whether you want to or not, you've helped yourself because you're getting your brain to think that way. So forget about the person that you don't really care about and worry about Fred and say, yeah, okay, I don't love Andrew and he's irrelevant to me. I think at this point I may never see him again, but that's Andrew. He lives on Cape Cod. He wears his hat backwards and he has a white headset on. Do you have a hat on, Andrew? Can't tell. Anyway, you get my point, Fred.
Yeah, sorry, my Wi-Fi is not very elite. So your time.
Does that answer your question, Fred?
Yeah, it does. It does. Thank you so much.
Yep. Anyone else?
I have one. I like play volleyball in college, so like just as you played a college sport. So I'm just wondering like what you feel like sports has taught you that you've taken to use in the professional world, especially in sales.
Yeah, it's listen, I'll tell you what, don't when I the story's too long, I did tell the Bentley class the interview of my first job, but listen, in our world, whether it's pharmaceutical or med device, but in sales, when you can walk out of college and say, hey, listen, I played at a really high level. I was part of a team. I was an eventual leader. I know what it takes to get through obstacles. You have to understand how hard it was to be an athlete, a student athlete, right? Hiring managers know what you're going through as an athlete. And so that gives you a little bit of an advantage where you could say, hey, I don't have that typical trajectory of maybe I wasn't a straight A student. Maybe I didn't jump out of college and sold yearbooks, then copiers, then did a little bit more B2B, then jumped into farming. You got this picture perfect resume. See, what I did was I jumped out, I interviewed with Daiichi Sankyo, and the interviewer said to me, why would I hire a basketball player? What do you know about Daiichi Sankyo? I said, nothing. But I'm going to tell you right now, what I learned through basketball, if you don't hire me, I guarantee you will be sorry that you didn't. And I say that respectfully because what I learned playing a team sport at a high level and going through all the obstacles I had to do, I couldn't go out when my friends did. I had to practice discipline, right? In season, postseason, preseason, all these things that you did, that's looked at by the interviewer. So I think all those skills that you're learning right now are transferable to the corporate world for sure.
Awesome. Thank you.
Just have one last question, particularly on like personal brand. How long would you say it takes to like kind of rebrand yourself?
Yeah, good question. So here's what I would say, right? Let's just say you did that exercise, or let's say internally you're like, you know what? That was a good point Todd made. I want to have some more energy. I want people to gravitate towards me. What's cool about this, and Tony Robbins talks about it a lot, is you can change, he says, your life, which we're getting crazy here, but you can change the way you operate like this. Like this. The next phone call you make to a friend, a family member, and they start to see a difference, an energetic Zach, someone that's doing things differently than they used to be, right? Someone that's maybe you're a little bit lax and now you're career oriented. You're bringing juice to every person that you interact with. You're reaching out to people when you didn't before. Your brand can change on a dime. The key is you got to believe in that and you want to be consistent with it because people are going to see how fake it is if you're just trying to do it. You got to believe it.
Okay. Thank you.
Todd, actually, along with that question too, what about in certain circumstances when you're at a new job or at a, like, let's say your dream job, and your elite purpose doesn't really match up with the company's elite purpose? Is that like kind of a situation where you should think about changing your elite purpose, or is that something that you might want to reel back and say, maybe I shouldn't be here in the first place?
Yeah.
I just wanted your take on that.
Yeah, great question, Matt. And so I'll give you an example. I mentioned my move to Boston Scientific. I interviewed for Boston Scientific when I jumped in the corporate world with Daiichi. So that was about, 8 or 9 years. I interviewed with Boston 5 or 6 times. I shouldn't say it, 3 or 4 times. Didn't get the job. And I always wanted to be at Boston Scientific, just by people who are there, the brand, the products. So finally I get in there, right? They come and recruit me. They feel like now I'm ready. Now I get to Boston Scientific. I stayed there 1 year and 9 months. That was probably the worst job that I had. And all these years I was fighting to get there, but the neuromodulation division or spinal cord stimulation, the pain management docs, all they want is money. They don't do what's right for the patient. Boston Scientific changed our comp plan 4 times in 2 years. The leadership was terrible. So you get there and you realize, wow, I thought this was going to be my dream job. They don't align to what I wanted or what I thought. You got to make a decision, right? And I would say to you, life's too short to sit at a company where now you realize the reality of it. I would say keep it moving.
Gotcha. Thank you.
You got it.
Anyone else? All right. Well, listen, I want to thank Todd on behalf of everybody. You've seen it, you've done it, from a sales perspective, but from a life perspective, it's invaluable for my students to hear somebody like you talk about, mindset and how you can change it and things of that nature. So from all of us, appreciate your time. I know you're down in Florida with your family, and I can't thank you enough on behalf of the students to get online and work through this in order to give them what they deserve, which is, I always tell them, the best possible education. So we thank you, and hopefully you don't mind if anybody reaches out to you on LinkedIn.
I was going to say that this slides up for a reason, guys. So you got my cell phone, you've got my email. I still hear from the couple guys and girls from the last class in August asking me about interviewing jobs. So let's connect, let's expand our network, and love to help you out.
The last thing I'll say is, before we go on a break here, guys, is think about it. We said in class, and I'll reiterate it. Everything that we talk about in this class always relates back to one thing. What is it?
Effective selling.
That's it. Right? So think about what we just talked about for the last hour and 20 minutes or so. How does this all relate back to what we're doing from a sales perspective? Effective selling. How do you get better and utilize these tools? All right. So by my clock, it is 8:03. So why don't you guys come back here at 8:10? All right. Give you guys enough time. Grab something to eat. Go to the bathroom. Everybody back on at 8:10. We'll finish up. I promise you guys will get done before 9:10 tonight. Okay?
Sounds good.
Thank you, Todd.
No problem.
Thank you, Todd.
Got it. Thanks, guys. Girls.
Thank you.
Todd. Thank you.
Todd, I'll call you tomorrow.
Sounds good, buddy. Thanks again.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Guy, you got back on? Did you send me an email?
Yeah, no, I sent you an email. My Wi-Fi sucks, so I've been getting kicked off of some Zoom meetings. I had to go in my parents' bedroom because they have a little bit better Wi-Fi there, but I think it should be good now. I don't
All
know
right.
what kicked me off, but
All right, good. Good.
thanks.
No problem, buddy. You can see the screen though, right?
There's a big block. All I can see is the 6-step presentation plan. There's kind of like a navy blue kind of buffering screen that's blocking everything right now.
Okay.
I don't know if it's just my bad internet or
Nah, I see that block too. You're good.
It is. Is it bad?
you can't see
It's still covering the start of that paragraph.
It's covering basically everything that says for needs discovery on the page in the red letters. I can only see the D in need.
Yeah, you moved it away though, a little bit ago.
I did?
Yeah, you kind of moved it. You have your cursor on it right now.
That's because I'm trying to figure out the hardest part about all this is it's tough to see everybody when you're presenting. You know what I mean? Because then you have to go in and out, stop share, and go back. So that's something that I'm trying to navigate, trying to figure out how to work. Is it better now or no?
I can't
Just
see
moved,
anything
all
now on the
over it.
screen.
Yeah, made it worse.
All right, hold on.
Yeah.
All right, we'll figure it out. All right, what'd you guys think of Todd?
He's a really good speaker.
Yeah, I mean he's always been a I would highly suggest guys to reach out to him. Ping him on LinkedIn. He's somebody that you want to know. Like Joe Moran. Joe came in earlier on in the class. Remember him? He's somebody you should reach out to. These are all people that you should try to network with in some small way. Try to get to know them every now and again. Get on their radar. Super smart people. Know a lot of people. I can't tell you. I mean, I've known Todd now for 15 years. Nasty basketball player. Just a great salesman, though. An excellent sales guy.
Professionally.
What's that?
What team did he play for professionally?
So if you Wikipedia, I don't know off the top of my head. I know that he had a cup of coffee with the Detroit Pistons, the Celtics, and one other NBA team. But his claim to fame, he was Hall of Famer at the University of Albany, but he also was a Hall of Famer. I guess he scored 70 points in a game in NBA Europe. And I'll tell you this side story before I go into we're going to end early, but before I go into what we got to talk about. So we play every Monday, Wednesday at the JCC in Newton, and Todd's a lefty. Okay. And we were all sitting there, and Todd was going off. I mean, he might have had 60 points. Played the entire game using his right hand. So we all looked at him like, he's like, it's just that's who he is. I mean, he excels in just about everything that he does. And I always like having him come in and talk to you guys because he real worlds it. And it's important for you guys to hear that and take some of those things away, from what he's talking about. All right. So can you guys see the screen now? Yes, no?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So we're going to go high level for the remainder of the night about just needs discovery. We talked about the approach and some of the things that Todd talked about. There are parallels here. First of all, who read the article from this past week? Who had an opportunity? I don't see any hands. Okay. Not good. All right, 2 to 3. All right, so 3 people out of 36, that's roughly not a good percentage, but a couple of things to take out of this article, all right? And I wanted you guys to read this because connecting with people is gonna be harder and harder, especially in the virtual age. 2 specific things that came out to me was how to build credibility and how to build trust with your customer, right? That was defined, I think, on page 218 here of two major things that you can still do virtually. So I'll throw it out to you guys. How do you do this? Those of you that read, what did it say? What did it resonate with you guys about how to build trust virtually? What are some things or some tidbits that you can take out of what they said here? And also, it's not just virtually. Think about how you build trust and credibility, when you're interfacing with customers. So I'll throw it out to you guys. Who has an idea about how to best build credibility and build trust? Amanda, is your hand up? Go for it.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting how it talked about like referrals were like extremely important. So like being able to like go above and beyond in what you do and like when you're working with your customers so that you're in a position where you'll be able to like ask them for referrals and they won't be upset about it. And it also talked about like how you don't think it is, but like blogging and like things like that are really important so that people can see that like you're running a good business online so that they'll like gain more interest in you.
Right. Right. So one thing that came out of this that was most impressive for me was the relationships are different, right? You're utilizing more of your referral base, right, to build sales, to build credibility, right? Your relationship is different and how you interact and interface with the customer is different. Who else? How do you build that trust? I can't see who's raising hands. Just throw it out there. How do you build trust in this environment?
They said one way was to just by listening and showing that you understand the issues, and like almost it says even better than the client does it sometimes.
Yep.
It's credibility.
Yep. And think about it, Jack. Thank you. But think about it also. I mean, you're building trust. Are you going into your sales pitch full bore with these folks? Do you remember what it said in the article about how to approach your sales and how to approach your customers from that perspective?
Not entirely at the moment.
They basically said, if you're not going to take the shot, yeah, go ahead, Emily. I'm sorry. Emily, your hand's up. Go for it.
Oh, sorry, I must have left it up. Just as something to build trust.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so one of the things that I really liked in the article is they mentioned getting the customer actively involved in some part of the process. So like if you have them take part in some sort of like little step and commitment, it feels like more of a partnership and then you're building more trust with the customer.
Exactly. So a couple of things to take out of here, right? The reason why I had you guys read this is because of the environment that we're in right now, right? Some tidbits to take away. How do you connect in a virtual environment? The other thing is think about where are your clients when they get in touch with you, right? Are they moving along that sales paradigm? Think about it from their perspective, right? How do you as sales professionals navigate virtually or navigate non-virtually the sales environment? So think about it from a customer's perspective. We're prospecting now. We're talking a lot about segmentation. Todd talked about, meeting clients and what does that look like? And if you have 10 minutes with a client, how are you going to connect with them? Thing about online versus face-to-face is be formal about the privacy online, right? Be formal about the privacy online, but less formal about boundaries and relationships. Share information freely, the article says. Why? I'll throw it out to you guys. Why? Why do you think you're more formal with the privacy, but less formal about the relationship? Stathis.
What is it? More private
think about what the article stated as far as, you're more formal about privacy online, but less formal about boundaries, about relationships. Why? No right or wrong answer. I'm just asking.
Like in person compared to online, we're saying.
Yeah.
If you're in front of the person, if you're willing to give up more about yourself, more willing to tell more about themselves. So like it's gonna be like a more sharing of information. But online, let's say if you were to open up, they could just kind of breeze it.
Yeah, totally. I mean, think about what Amanda said earlier. I mean, so if you're navigating this new sales environment, certainly you want to keep everything private online. But from a relationship perspective, now is the time where you can bring in your referrals. Now is the time where you can say to a prospective client, hey, listen, I just talked to X, Y, and Z, and he told me about this, and he told me to get in touch with you, right? And I think that's what the whole purpose of the article was saying from a relationship perspective. Remember, I'm a relationships guy, right? Mental memory and mirroring people are more important in an online relationship sale. I thought that this was most important based upon what Todd was talking about tonight, right? Think about his presentation. Think about all the things that we went through and Amanda went through and all these people went through from a memory perspective, right? It's a lot harder to do that, but mental memory and how you mirror people online is most important in any type of relationship, especially online. And being able to personalize and customize this message are more important now than ever. And I'll throw it out to you guys from a sales perspective. How do you customize and how do you personalize a message via this online? What are some ways that you can do it? Alec.
Hey, can you repeat the question, please?
Well, think about, online. Think about how we're selling in this environment. Think about you're a salesman now, right?
Yeah.
You're getting out of Bentley, you're going to go, and now for the next few months, you're going to be selling virtually. How do you make something customizable? How do you customize something and personalize something to a customer virtually? What are some ways that you can do that as a new salesperson going out into the salesforce?
I would probably get super familiar with the different forms of communication and try and tailor the way I communicate with that customer online. Just so, like, try and figure out kind of what they're most comfortable with and if they're good with technology or not, and help them with that barrier because it can be hard.
Okay. Anybody else? Melissa Landry. Hi.
I think what someone said earlier, just the idea of listening to help build that trust.
Okay. Anybody else? I think that's exactly right. I mean, in this day and age, when you don't have the disposal, you have to use what tools that you have in your belt, right? And not to steal Aaron's thunder, but you have to use the golf clubs that you have, right? So yeah, listen more, adapt more, use other people for your means more. Think about how the person is coming across. Think about where they're at in their sales cycle. It all goes back towards figuring out what the discovery is. This is your needs discovery, right? This is how you do this, especially now in this different environment, right? That will lead to increased customer satisfaction, more sales, fewer returns, et cetera, right? If you do it the right way. So this is from online, and I thought that this was a pretty, I like the way it talked about the consultative sales process. Now, is everybody familiar on the line here with what the consultative sales process is? I mean, you can go through it from a visual perspective in the book, but I didn't like the way that the book showed it. So I want you all to think about your individual role plays, okay? Think about how you guys went about your individual role plays. Think about the research that you did. Think about some of the things that you guys had to do in order to go through and research your role plays. I've said in class, and I'll always say it, number one, everything relates back to effective selling. We know that. But also sales is always in motion, right? It's never stagnant. It's never flat. It's always up. Look where we're at right now, right? There's always something that is happening in sales. So the consultative sales process mirrors exactly that. So look on the screen here. Look at your pre-call objectives, right? We talked all about this in sales. Set an objective. Todd talked about it a little bit in his presentation earlier, right? He's not going to hire somebody that can't retain what was said a week ago or 2 weeks ago, and he's certainly not going to hire a sales executive that can't remember a month later or that only remembers 18% of what was sent a month earlier. So think about this. So you got to set an objective. How do you open the call and gain attention, right? Think about how you guys are able to do that in your role plays. Build rapport, right? Things of that nature. Uncover the needs of the customer. Create that rapport. Think about what Todd said as far as mirroring and looking around, looking at your spatial environment, okay? Everybody is in play once you guys get into a sales call. Every interaction is in play every time you guys get into a sales call. Everybody that you meet in an office or in a conference room is part of that whole sales process. Create rapport, ask questions, listen. Adaptive selling, adjust to behavior and communication style, right? Offer solutions. So you guys vibing with what this is? I mean, basically, this is what you guys are going to be doing if you go out and you go to be a salesperson, right? Adjust to the behavior and the communication style. We've talked about this. You know, if you have a driver, how do you approach a customer that just wants you in and out? That just wants you to, all right, what do you got? Great, awesome, you're gone. So different ways that you have to approach customers. And that all goes back to this. I don't know if you guys can see me pointing, but that goes back to your pre-call planning, right? Knowing your customer, knowing from a segmentation perspective. If you've done prospecting the appropriate way, you guys will be able to see this as like a matrix and think, all right, well, now I know where to go with this customer. I know where I can move him from a sales perspective. And then it gets easier because then you can sell. Then you can offer solutions. You can do things differently in this environment. Recognize if the customer is ready to buy. Who knows what buying signals are? Give me some examples of buying signals that a customer might give you.
Potentially like asking how much it costs or how many you can provide on the spot.
Yeah, so Stathis, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, if you're selling to the husband of a family saying, oh, I'm gonna check back with my wife, could be a sign of a future purchase.
Yeah. Who else? Go ahead, Emily.
If they ask you about the process after the sale, so like if there's any help with setup or training or anything like that, if it's a certain type of product.
Yeah, Lottie, go ahead.
If they like ask about the timeline and how their timeline like works with your timeline.
Yeah, guys, if they're talking and they're asking you questions after you've gone through creating the interest and uncovering needs and offering solutions, remember, you're solving problems, right? As a salesperson now, you're solving a problem. If they're asking you questions, you know, and they're asking about, all right, how can this product or how does X fit Y? You're in, you're golden, right? Then you're closing. A lot of you guys in class closed for an actionable item, whether it was another meeting or whether it was something. That's closing. That's gaining agreement, which is also one of the hardest things that we can do. And I think in a couple weeks, you'll see why it's so hard to do that. So the book shows you something a little bit different from a consultative sales perspective. I kind of like the way that this explains it. And again, think about your individual role plays. One quote that resonated with me is the wise man doesn't give the right answers. He poses the right questions. Okay. So when you look through what the book tells you, and this is kind of what their thing is from a consultative sales process, needs discovery with an emphasis on actions and selection of the solution, pivotal points, needs satisfaction. My question for you in an effective sales selling class is, what is most important to you and why? The wise man doesn't give the right answers. He poses the right questions. Emily.
So which one is the most important or?
if you're looking across, so we just showed you, you know, my kind of way to look at consultative sales. When you look at the books, you can kind of mirror them, right? You can look at both different ways and say, all right, I see how they're somewhat cohesive. What's most important to you?
It's cut off a little bit, but I think is that analysis on needs and needs discovery?
It is.
Yeah, I would probably say that that's the most important one because that's kind of where you start off, and you have to have a really good understanding of what problems the customer is having and what needs they might have to be able to come up with a good solution for them and explore that with them.
Okay. Who else? And can you guys see it better now? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Who else?
Yeah.
No right or wrong answers here. Go ahead. I can't see who raised their hand, so just feel free to just go.
Yeah, just to kind of add to what Emily was saying, I think like needs discovery, I would agree, is probably the most important because if you don't know how to like or what needs you need to fill or meet, and you don't communicate effectively with the customer, then you're not going to be able to fill them anyway, no matter how good of a salesman you are.
Okay. Who else? Somebody else had their hand up. Was that Connor?
I had my hand up for a second. I thought possibly when thinking about like a consultative approach, like the selection of the solution, because I guess when I think about like being like taking a consultative approach, it's about, I mean, I guess it's kind of hard for me because I think about like being able to identify people's needs, but I feel like the most important thing is being able to like listen to what they are saying their problems are and being able to select a solution that's going to best fit their needs of their business, whether that's your like company or someone else's. So I don't know, I feel like for me the most important part is like being able to identify, or I guess I just said identify, but I guess select the solution.
Yeah, I mean, again, there's no right or wrong answers. I think as a salesperson, guys, what's most important about these next couple of slides is I like need satisfaction. You're informing, you're persuading, you're reminding, you're putting an emphasis on statements. This is where you get to roll up your sleeves and go to work. You've done all of the important things. You've done all of the research. You've done all of the pre-call, the creating interest. You're offering solutions. And now from this point on, this is where you're a salesman. You're going in there and you're providing some sort of persuasive angle about why they should use whatever you're selling. So appreciate and again, this is what's important to you, whether it's needs discovery, you know, how you're selecting that solution. All of those things are you know, there's no right or wrong answer. Andrew, he's coming in. So how much time do you need to spend on needs discovery? I thought that this was kind of cool in the book because a lot of people don't spend a lot of time on this for some reason. So I'll ask you guys, if you're in a sales environment, right? How much time would you guys devote to need discovery? How much time do you think you would need to devote to this step? Somebody, anybody,
How
go
long
ahead.
they give you.
Go ahead, buddy.
That it depends on how long they give you. Like, you know, if they're like, hey, I only got 20 minutes, then, you know, it's probably going to be shorter than it normally would be. But like, I'd say probably about the first 15% of your conversation should be trying to figure out what they need, where to go.
Yeah. I mean, Matt, go ahead.
Yeah, I was also gonna say, like, based on your relationship with them too, like if it's a good friend of yours, if you have that rapport, you might want to spend a little bit less time understanding what their needs are, and more time like tailoring the need that you solved for them in the past, enough to meet that relationship you have. But for the people that you're right out the gate, you need to spend a really good portion of your time identifying like what the need is and how you can go about solving their specific need. So I think it just depends.
Yeah, and I would agree with you. I mean, think about the presentation you guys just heard tonight from Todd, right? A lot of his things, if you want to be a good salesperson, if you want to be a good sales rep, hold on, Stathis, I got you. This is really where you develop your offensive playbook, right? This is where you know, and you can kind of go back and forth with the customer. You gain a lot of insight from them. This is where you're asking the questions. You're listening. You're establishing some sort of buying motive, right? Book goes into talk a lot about this, and this is kind of a interesting view to look at this, right? How do you apply the they call it the 3 dimensions of need discovery, but it's really asking the right questions, right? It's really being customer focused. It's establishing some sort of buying motive. Are you ready to buy X? Where are you at as far as your history with X, Y, and Z, whatever the product might be, right? So need discovery, there's no set time frame. It really has to do with the sale and the sale process. Who has their hand up?
Yeah, I was just gonna add to that. I like my job this past summer, like we're reaching out, like cold calling, things like that. And like probably the first call that we made, like a good like 80 to 85% of like the first call that we're like prospecting with clients, like it would all be about needs discovery. So like, I don't know, like I feel like it might be different as you evolve further along like the sales pipeline, but like I feel like the first couple of calls, it's almost all about needs discovery and like trying to find buying motive, I guess.
Yeah, I mean that's what this is all about. You know, the book talks a little bit about this spin selling. You know, every single company that you go to is going to have a different way or a different training as far as Colby, I got you 1 second. Oh, I got you. But think about how you can incorporate whatever company or even your own type of selling. So spin selling, situation, problem, implication, and need payoff, right? All different ways to question. Questioning is one of the most vital, very hard things to do in sales. Asking the right questions, asking yes or no questions. People that typically ask good questions get a good response. And I have an example coming up for you. So who knows who this guy is? Show of hands. Okay. Quite a few people, right? Everybody has seen him in one form or another in press conferences, right? Show of hands, yes? I'm going to call on somebody right now just to make sure that they're awake. I know that they are because I can see them, but I haven't heard from them. So Teresa, you know who this guy is?
Of course, that's Bill Belichick.
Ever see him in press conferences?
Yeah, he doesn't talk much.
Okay. So I hope this works. We're going to try this. If this doesn't work, I blame it on technology.
Okay.
Realtor.com School Search can help you find a home in a school district where your kids can master a second language.
Caballo, Casino, free test.
That's it. We can't see
see
it.
anything. I don't know about anyone else.
All right, hold on.
Turnovers lose games.
Gotcha. Hold on. Now can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys got it?
Really don't. You don't want to be put in the corner. You don't want to have a timeout.
The quarterback position be evaluated this week?
Are you averse to having a feature back?
What, like when Corey Dillon ran for 1,600 yards? Would I be against that? Yeah, I don't think so.
So how do you crack the vault?
That's the great question. If you have done your homework and you are clearly, if you've been paying attention and you ask a smart question, you will get a good response.
He will go on these wonderful, long explanations about how football works.
I mean, all positions are difficult, but I think it's a difficult position to play because of the amount of, the amount of things that happen and how fast they happen. Tight ends and backs coming in, or outside receivers coming into your zone and things like that. Whereas as a corner, you're defending more space, but there are less moving parts out there. There's less guys that can get into your area.
He is at his essence a teacher. He wants to transmit what he knows here to the people who are covering it so that they do a better job breaking down the game.
If you ask him about somebody out of history, he will go on a long explanation.
Lawrence Taylor was like that. I mean, Lawrence Taylor, he knew what every player on the field was doing. Lawrence would go out there and come in after the series and say, Coach, they're not blocking it the way you said they were going to block it. Here's what they're doing. Instead of him taking me, this guy's got me, he's helping. I could see that guy looking for me. If I come inside, the center's going to come off. He's going to pick me up. Go look at the film and say, that's, what? He's right. Like, you can never get that from the sideline, but he can.
Having that both physically and mentally is really rare.
Well, yeah, that's what makes him special. I mean, that's what makes.
Bill Belichick.
So think about that, guys, right? So I guess you can basically whittle down needs discovery, and what needs discovery means is every customer that you interact with, you have to figure that he's like this, right? Not everybody. Can you guys see the screen now?
Yep.
Yeah. So think about it. Every customer that you come in contact with is Bill Belichick. And it's your job as a sales representative to try to figure out and crack the code about, all right, how do I get this guy to open up? And that goes towards how do you get people to answer questions? It's crafting the right question at the right time. It's thinking through and doing your homework and pre-call planning and doing all the necessary steps that lead up to a meeting with somebody like this. Now, not everybody in life is going to be Bill Belichick. I recognize that, right? But you're going to have customers that are. And it's your job as the salesperson to listen, to understand the customer, to acknowledge the response. Active listening plays a huge role in getting guys like this to open up and talk. Think about what that clip just showed you. If you go into a press conference with this guy and you're not prepared and you don't ask a definitive question, what are the responses that you get?
On to Miami.
Right. One word responses. He'll shrug you off. He'll roll his eyes. That's sales. The good people that ask the right questions, actively listen, think about what's important to the customer. In this case, Bill Belichick is a history guy, loves it. You craft a good question, he'll open up and he'll talk for hours about the history of football. It's no different than your customers. No different, right? So the good sales reps, the elite sales reps, the people that are going to make a lot of money and that are going to do very well are the people that can get these guys right here to open up. So needs discovery, right? We can go through all these different permutations right here. Needs discovery is about how you get a guy like that, a customer, to say, all right, you know what? That's a great question. You stopped me in my tracks, and now I'm gonna think about what you just said, right? So think about that as needs discovery, okay? That's basically what it is. I mean, it's how do you get guys to open up even more? Early involved, who's more involved early on in the sales process? This is actually kind of cool. It came out of the book. Time used during the consultative sales process. So when I looked at this, it was really interesting to see that the salesperson over time is more involved. Do you guys agree with this? When you guys saw this graph in your reading, did you agree with the way that this is set out? Go ahead. I don't know who raised their hand, but just go ahead. Caitlin, go ahead.
Yeah, I agreed with it because I think when it's in that needs discovery phase, you don't always interact with the customer as much. It's where they're looking for possible people that'll actually help with that solution. So I think in that first step, you're going to have the least involvement. And then as things go on, you're going to want to be involved so they can get to know you and your product better.
Yeah. So this is where you're exactly. You're asking questions, right? You're kind of figuring out, you're letting the prospect tell you a little bit more. And as you feel that need, certainly as you walk down that continuum, you're going to play more of an active role in the sales process, in the consultative sales process, right? Creating value, building, partnering relationship. That's what this is all about, guys. You ask the right questions, you review products, you take your relationship with the prospect to a different level. You're strategic and the actions are oriented towards the customer, okay? I like this view because it stratifies it down from a strategic imperative, but also an action-oriented perspective. How are you reestablishing the relationship? Are you asking appropriate questions? Are you recording the customer's responses? Remember what Todd said is, how are you going to remember something if you don't record or you don't take notes on a previous call? So things to think about. Hopefully this all ties in from what Todd was talking about earlier tonight, okay? So we talked about approach last week. We talked about the elite mindset, you know, how you guys can take yourselves, not just in sales, but personally to a different level. Needs discovery is more about the pre-approach and how you guys formulate unbelievable questions and to try to get customers to open up and really explore what it is that you guys are trying to sell. That's all I have. Any questions on chapter 11 or any questions, comments on tonight? Okay, everybody's very talkative. So a couple of things. Without the syllabus in front of me, we'll probably have a similar format. I'm going to try to get you guys into your working groups next week at the start of class. That could be a mitigated disaster, I realize, but I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see what happens. I released your grades tonight for your individual role plays. If you guys have questions, comments, concerns, you know where to find me. Call me, text me, email me, whatever you guys need. Anything that you guys need from me? I know a lot of you are inundated. I know it's tough from a learning perspective. Anything that you guys need from me to make your lives easier? No? Okay. If anything comes up, let me know. Other than that, have a great week.
Thank you, Professor.
My pleasure.
Thanks, Professor.
Thank you.
Have a
You're
good
welcome.
week.
Have a great night, guys. Thank you.
You too.